Good evening, everyone. I hope everyone can hear me loud and clear. And it's awesome. It's such a good holiday to be catching up with all of you and this journey, entrepreneurship journey. My introduction, Esther, I don't think you really want me to do my introduction in quite long, but I'm an investment banker by training, and currently, when I say I'm an investment banker by training, is that 10 of my first years of my banking years, I was an investment banker abroad in Boston, Massachusetts. And so I'm very passionate about investment. I'm very passionate about entrepreneurship. And I'm also a global mentor. I consider myself a global mentor, not just by choice, but for me, it's a calling. And it comes, some of you might not know that when I resigned my big job in Boston and I wanted to come back home, I had started a consulting firm. But unfortunately, I could not last for a year because a bank at the time, a bank that was called Chase Bank, they were busy and they poached me to start their diaspora department. So yeah, entrepreneurship is in my heart, and entrepreneurship. I'm an entrepreneurship. I never stop learning. I'm very passionate about transformation. So when I met times, you'll see me in very what do I call it? Very humble background schools, because time for me is a very big limitation. But when I mentor, I actually don't just do what most people would consider mentorship. Big musicians who are doing very well right now in Kenya to venture into the global market. My heart actually, I have a calling in mentoring young students, and I think that's how this came about. But I'm very passionate about mentoring my own. Personally, as some of you that have not met me, I would be very unapologetic. Luckily, my former employer, State Bank of Boston, State Street Bank in Boston, they assigned me a mentor. And little did I even know that mentorship existed. So deep part of my heart. It's more than a calling, because I feel like you guys, the young people right now, are very lucky. Some of us were mentored away from home, very far from, and we didn't even know mentorship. Consider myself quite young. So for me, when I mentor, I feel like all of us, whatever position you're given, even in my day job position, the banking job that I'm very passionate about, the impact that I'm leaving even in the bank, the area that I've been assigned by the bank to run and grow. But whenever position, even if you're a doctor, if you're a mama mboga, if you're a shoe shiner, if you're a fish vendor, if you're a musician, if you're a DJ, if you're like Esther, God has placed you on this earth. There's an aspect of you. You're placed there to make a difference. You're placed there to actually impact other people. And so for me, when I mentor, and the reason I'm actually in this in mentorship parlor, that I feel that the future of the country, of this nation, lies in our hands, and the future of our country also lies in our ability to impact others in our areas of influence. Yeah, so I can go on and on and on. I'm a mother, very passionate about life. I am a gardener. When I don't know what to do, when I have a lot of free time, traveling is my other hobby. And I like, when I'm traveling, I'm usually, for example, South Africa, always a school reach out to me to mentor while I'm there. So I follow my passion, and I do very many things in life that I'm very passionate about. And I'm an enthusiast. I think life is to be lived well, so that the short time that God has given us on earth, that we utilize it very well. And yes, and I'm aware that it's a COVID season. So I'm not ignorant of the fact that many of us are locked at home. Very important is that many of us, half of us perhaps, are not able to go to our regular jobs the way we were doing it before COVID. And yeah, I'm aware that there's some of you might be tuned in from other countries or other continents. But yeah, let's not use COVID as an excuse for us to grow. Let's use COVID as an opportunity to grow and even to start new ventures that were not there. Esther, so I think my introduction will end there. I can go on and on and on, and people can chime me up after this, and I can answer more questions. But yes.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Maggie. I think for now, I will allow you to still continue and speak to us on the topic that is ahead of us.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you, Esther. And thanks, everyone. I know there are a lot of my colleagues in the mentorship parlor. At some point, I'll ask you to chime in, and we have we have experts in this topic. But the reason I think, I chose this topic of changing our mindset. Uh, there's for me, I believe entrepreneurship is a journey. Just like in life, I personally believe that I'm a student for life. I learn when I'm sitting even with the person I mentor. So I'm very open-minded into learning. But entrepreneurship is a journey. But for me, when I look at entrepreneurship, remember on my day job, by the way, some of you think that I'm in women banking and youth banking. I sit in the office now. I'm a business development expert. So I'm always in the field interacting with a lot of people, women, youth, and even other sectors. Of course, as a leader, you interact with a lot of people. Entrepreneurship for me, it's a journey and it starts in the mind. So the topic of the day, I want to reiterate that I was very specific, and I know Esther will agree. I was very specific when we talked about let's mindset. And also, maybe I can explain why this topic came about. As many of you might know, and I like keep comparing because life before COVID we will never go back. If you ask me, and I'm not a psychologist or anything, but if you ask me, our life will never go back to the way it was before COVID. So for me, what I want to consider, and the statistics before COVID-19, as many of you know, is that unemployment rates were already quite high, and when the Federation, AFC World Bank was predicting that unemployment rates were gonna even double. Sometimes in 2020, but of course we know what happened. COVID happened. So, some of you might already be in entrepreneurship, might be already entrepreneurs. But for me, when I think about our youth, myself included in that box, yeah, in that category, many of us, if we knew what we got the mentorship that we are getting right now, you guys are very lucky to get. If you ask me, the way to go is to start thinking of us being job creators, as opposed to right now, currently, many of us might be seeking jobs. And I don't know, Esther, if you painted the picture, some of the inquiries we got from your Radio Citizen interview. Yeah, we got, when I looked at the numbers, we found that this initiative, why we started it, and even why we started it, of the a lot of people are seeking jobs. A lot of our youth are actually right now, before COVID, were looking for jobs. And as many of you know, I don't know how many of you have tarmacked and looked for jobs. Once you've been tarmacking for a year, I mean, let alone a month, once you've been looking for a job for after a couple months, it becomes, some of you, I don't know how you deal with it, but I know from my personal experience, it can be a daunting job. It can be discouraging. It can be, many discouragements. Even some, I know in Kenya, many of the companies might not respond on time, and the expectations are usually very high. So for me, when we talk about some of the tips I'll be sharing tonight, is how do we move our mindset from us seeking those jobs that are not even there as we speak, and some jobs that are not laid any of our employees. But as you can tell, the future of this, even before COVID, I mean, many jobs will be replaced because of also automation, digitization. So some of the tips I would want to share, and my hope today is that by the end of this, that will be on this Zoom call, is that some of us will shift our mindset from being job seekers to job creators. And I'll start with the first one. And when I speak some of these tips, I will tell you for free that every single day in my office, I receive at least even on a bad day, I receive about 6 to 7 applications, very good applications. I'm talking people who have masters, people who might not have a lot of work experience, but people who are actually very sharp, some even sharper than the people we have in the organization. So allow me and indulge me in this topic, because it's about time that we started talking about and shifting mindset towards us creating these jobs ourselves. And I'll start with a quote from Abraham Lincoln. He there's this one quote that I like about, there are many of his quotes I like, but one of the good ones that I always like reminding myself is that he says, um, if you give me 6 hours to chop down a tree, what would I want, obviously, to do the first few hours? First 4 hours sharpening the axe. And this for me boils down to how do you upgrade and how do you change our mindset? And the first thing for me, it boils down to changing our self-talk. Yeah. For instance, when you look around, you'll find that right now, I'm not sure for us, we are essential services, but I look around I live in a very gated nice, and you'll find that there's a lot of people there's a lot of negative self-talk going around, and you don't have to look very far to figure it out. And the first thing the first grading our mindset to job creators is obviously your self-talk. Mr. Steve Jobs used to say, you know, once you have, once you have your self-talk right, the dots will always connect. And yeah, hello. Yeah, you can hear me. For me, when we talk about upgrading your negative self-talk, there's a lot of people out there who will tell you too young. You're too young. Many people have tried that. Have tried doing entrepreneurship, then they've failed. Others, even in the family, when you look back, you might even have this negative self-talk, which tells you like, oh, my dad tried to do this one, or my older sister or someone in my family tried to do it and they failed. You see, you're different. You're obviously different. And the more you have a negative self-talk with yourself, the harder it gets to even get started. And the life of an entrepreneur, people keep, there are many people who say it's a lonely journey. How do you even get started? The other second point I would want to change in our self-talk from job seekers is obviously change your language. In Kenya, there is this, and when I talk, when we talk to entrepreneurs, even the ones we bank and the ones we interact with, drop these words out of your language. Because obviously, if you enter entrepreneurship, as an entrepreneur, your main job is to farm to create. Maybe Esther, you can use them on your end. In Kenya, there's this very popular, saying. People will always say, "Oh, nekuhaso, I'm hustling." If you enter into entrepreneurship with that kuhaso mentality, unless you change your language, and chances are you'll actually end up not even thinking starting up as an entrepreneur. And one of the things that I always advise people is that, you have to be your number one fan, and you have to believe that what you're about to do, and you have to obviously do a lot of research on your end to find out what is the need. Personally, when it comes to entrepreneurship, the first thing you must do, other than obviously, even as you're changing your mindset, you start looking at what are the pain points. I'll give you a very simple example, and I know you already know. M-Pesa. When M-Pesa, right now in the COVID-19 world, M-Pesa is thriving. I mean, I can't even tell you, when we look at banking, our banking, as you know, there's a lot of changes that have even been happening. Less than 1,000 shillings has been zero. Looked at what are the pain points. What are the pain points? When I want my grandmother in all the way in a 3,000 miles county, or perhaps for some of us who are living abroad at the time when M-Pesa started, how do you how do you send money without moving a leg? How do you make sure that person, how did they create this whole M-Pesa? They looked at the pain points. So an entrepreneur, changing your language and your self-talk is very important, because remember, at the end of the day, you are creating a solution to a pain point, to solve a problem that is a pain point, to actually to the economy or to the world. And also the third point I would want to quickly point out is, how do you you have to determine the mindset you need and act as if it's already happening. And when I talk about coming up, determining the mindset, obviously right now a lot of us are home, and today being a holiday, the rest of the week, the mindset obviously determines what you will do the rest of the week. Some of you guys that are actually very passionate about entrepreneurship, imagine from the time COVID-19 happened, the idea even kill you, if I can even put it to the extent of killing you. Imagine if your mindset, if you've determined fully that you actually want to start a business, by the last 3 weeks or the last 3 months, already your mindset should be very determined to an extent that you're actually researching. If I were you, I would have already, let's say, for example, if I wanted to start to start a business. And obviously, I know the sector that I want to into. Like right now, some of you might know that grocery shopping, most of the people are shopping groceries online. I know I'm one of the few, perhaps, that have somebody who delivers them to our house. But delivery, grocery shopping, the riders who are doing it. If you wanted to start a rider's business, if I were you, instead of sleeping in until like 11 o'clock, your mindset should already be telling you that, determining the way you will behave. So I would hang around people that are in that sector. You guys are so lucky, unlike some of us. You can Google some of this topic. You can Google. I saw the other day, I studied this company called Trigger Foods. And I'm super impressed by the MD there. I mean, these guys are brilliant. And me, if I was wanted to do such a type of a business, I would be following such people on YouTube instead of going to people's Instagram, checking them out, checking the beautiful girls and boys online. This should be something you actually, your mindset actually dictates what you do with your time, and even how the outcome of your entrepreneurship. Yeah. Because like I said, the first thing before you even start, your mindset has to be right. Because at the end of the day, when you're in entrepreneurship, you become your own boss. Nobody will be telling you what time to have a virtual office, what time you close your office, whether you'll be working from 7 p.m. to 7 a.m., so it's very important. The other thing is, you have to learn and apply. Now you've been researching on entrepreneurship. I want to be a job creator as opposed to job seeker. So instead of so meaning that at this point you've already decided, you've made up your mind that actually, instead of me job tamaking, let me actually come up with this innovation. Yeah, let me put all my effort towards becoming an entrepreneur. So you've gone to YouTube. This javelin, he's called Yego. Yeah, Julius Yego studied and javelin on YouTube. A lot of us joke about it, but yes, he actually did, and it's a true story. So when once you've done the third step, then you are learning and applying. So how do you even how do you, and that actually dictates a lot of your mind being set into this adopting. So once you learn and apply, you have to learn and apply this thing and start applying. Meaning that even before you get started with your venture, uh, you know, start by at least using the information that you've gathered, whether it's on YouTube or you've Googled or you've gone and maybe studied a book about that whole topic. But now, during your free time, you can go and during your free time you can actually a mile and pilot. I know one of my mentees who actually has done on the call. And these guys started, I met them in a pitching contest where when I was a judge. And these guys, I mean, they I hope, I don't know, Joshua, if you're on the call, but I hope you are. These guys researched, they did their research, they are thorough, they are very brilliant guys, and they're quite young. This is the thing that actually excites me the most. Prototype, and you guys, I know some of you are in IT, you're very good at these things. They tested the they've learned, they've applied, now they've learned what they were doing, but now they went testing, thoroughly testing. The other thing that I would want to highly, highly, highly recommend is that you, while you're doing this, you must surround yourself with people that match you. And by this, I mean, some of you, I don't know who you're following. Yeah. Some of you, I don't know who you're following. And it's very important to match, because like I said at the beginning, there will come a time, when the people who you're surrounded with will actually determine what you become. And a lot of times I keep telling people, a lot of times you might be following, musicians, and maybe you're not about to become musicians. Of course, music is a good thing. For me, I love music. Yes, it's a good thing. But at the same time, you need to make sure, be very deliberate about who are the people that you're surrounding yourself with. For example, if I know there's I mentor a group that plays called what? Not soccer, cricket. Yeah. And for them, if you're hanging around, you must be very deliberate about the people you're following. It's the same thing with the people who golf. I see them following Tiger a lot of times. They want to learn a thing that I'm actually interested. I'm a very passionate person. It's very important that if you're starting out a business, you'd make sure that you're very, very deliberate about the people you follow. I know locally, I know some examples are overrated, but I know some few people who follow someone like Christy Ruby. I know he's very shrewd and whatnot. Are you following people with a certain mindset? One of my people that I'm very passionate about following, and I like reading his article, is Richard Branson. Even when I want to know about customer excellence and all these other tips he gives, he's so real. He's so real, and I think once you start hanging around such people, surrounding yourself, and you don't have to physically, the internet has opened so many doors, guys. We have no excuses. You don't have to know Richard Branson to follow him. You don't have to know Obama to follow him. This is the beauty of technology and the internet. You have so many people you can follow, and there are so many articles you can read how they started, how they started their business. And then the sixth point I want to highlight to you, and actually very, very important: create new habits that support your mindset, your entrepreneurship mindset. Monkey see, I know for us who are young parents, we always say monkey see, monkey do. Start following those. As much as you're surrounding yourself with the people hang around you. The estate, I forgot to mention. I know in my estate, I see these youths, going around. Yes, they are masking. Yes, they are done their social distance. But you can almost tell what type of discussions they're having, tell. And you see, when it takes a long time to create a new habit, it takes a long time to even dissociate yourself with a certain company. Because a lot of times you'll find that, I don't know about the category of the people who are tuned in, but you'll find that some of these youth, they'll say, my dad made it, what do I just chill and wait for the school, until a job come by. But do you know you can start your own venture, and you can even be more successful than your parents or your, siblings. So it's very important that you create what your entrepreneurship journey. For example, if there's a good example I gave Esther, I think the other time we were discussing, I gave is so tight. And she introduced me to this guy called Mr. Fish. You guys can Google him after this. And this guy, she gave me the number. The guy has a WhatsApp of 100 consumers. And this guy, what actually shocked me was the way he packages his fish. I mean, talk about branding, he, you have to talk about organization and one time I wanted to I've always wanted to call him and ask him, how did he even get to there? I'm sure this thing for him, he did not create the business. And for him, I'm sure he hangs around people who are in that fish ecosystem. Maybe the people in the near the lake where he gets the fish supply from, the people where he packages. So, hang around, change your habits, change and create new habits to support the mindset, the entrepreneur change mindset that you want. If I wanted to be a DJ, I would hang around a lot of musicians, a lot of producers, and I would follow some of these producers. But that habit, instead of me just going to check people or being on Facebook and just posting, things that are not even related to my, the entrepreneurship sector, I would, it takes a long time. And I know research says that it takes about 66 days to about 90 days to change a habit. But let me tell you what, you have to actually be very deliberate. Schedule a time for learning, schedule a time when even on a daily basis, be accountable of how much value have I added to my entrepreneurship gig that how much have I researched, how far have I gone, set a goal, set do you have where is the demand, is this a growth sector also that you're looking into going, and this reminds me of Jack Ma. I don't know if many of you, I'm sure he came to Kenya, I think sometimes not too long ago, and and listen to him. I know he went to University of Nairobi, and even for those who did not manage to go meet him in person, I know you follow him. A lot of the articles and quotes he sends on a daily basis. Jack Ma, his business. How many times did he get rejection? And that's why it's very important that you're creating new habits that can support what you want to do. Look at this guy. I mean, at that point, nobody could even, I mean, I think people thought he was a joke of some type of a joke of e-commerce. And look at his platform now. It's doing so well, and even before COVID-19. So it's very important that you create new habits. And I know most people will say that Jack Ma is a very, international example, but even locally, we have many examples of businesses. And that's why it's very important for us to change our mindset. Because unless, if you cannot create new habits to support your entrepreneurship mindset now, it will be so hard your own, a whole business registered by the Sharia house, that for example, if you say you're producing you're delivering gross and these orders from people, are you ready? Do you have your business plans ready? Have you researched? And that actually takes a lot of habit, because you have to sit on a daily basis, you have to sit a certain number of hours and start planning and putting your research together. So if destination, you have to actually be very deliberate about your mindset, and be very mindful of the timelines that you set as well. The last thing I want to say is about obviously jumping out of your comfort zone. A lot of us, I always give an example of myself. My first degree, some of you might not know, but I have a first degree in economics. I studied in Kenyatta University. And I'm born in a family of 8. I'm actually the fourth born. Yeah, I know a lot of you think I'm the first born. Yeah, many people say that. But I remember growing up, because my parents, I don't know if I mentioned at my introduction, I grew up in a very till now. Of course, it was not funny growing up in that family where we did not have much. I mean, TVs, we saw them in KU or something when I was in campus. But the point of the matter is, my comfort zone then is that my parents would not want to hear anything about entrepreneurship. In fact, if my dad knew by any crooks or means that I was trying to university. Some of my colleagues, some of my friends had started like a boutique in the dormitory where they sell some clothes. Others had started some what is it called, mandazi time. But my parents, those days, I mean, I'm talking not too long ago, but those days, my parents did not want to know. They knew that they had sacrificed. My dad would sell his cows to take me to school. So for him, he didn't mentor me, but they told me all they knew is that education would open their doors and open my doors, and the future would be bright. That's all. So, unlike you guys, and why the comfort zone is very important. Right now, those days, if even as a young mom, I want my daughter to have some skills. Like right now, she's learning how to cook. She chops stuff for me in the kitchen. And what I'm trying to say is, and I see she has a lot of interest in music. Unlike those where our comfort zone was like just go to school, we used to call it chewing books. Yeah, literally. Just you just study, focus in school, do not get derailed by other things. But I think it's just because my parents didn't know much, and for them, because I didn't have education, they believed education was everything. And even up to now, I still believe that education is the most powerful tool, and like Nelson Mandela said. But what I'm talking about now is the globe, the technology, globalization, you name it. Even COVID-19 has flattened the whole world. You can make your PPEs now here. And I know some of you guys are aware, yeah? And I hope you're actually, you're not following the negative CS news. I hope you're following where the money is going, where the money is being invested, because this is a deadly virus that all of us have to be cognizant of. It's a new normal. Yeah, it's a very tough new normal, very different new normal. And what I'm trying to talk to you guys about your comfort zone and actually become a multi-millionaire entrepreneur. And I'll tell you how. Suits, as right now you see me casually dressed, we dress very formal. Yeah, we're a bank and whatnot. We have the standard. But I've been telling the fundis, we are telling people in this fashion industry, guys, this is the time. PPEs, masks have been made mandatory in Kenya. So whether we like it or not, people are not buying clothes. I'm not buying suits myself, but every day I have to figure out, do I have a mask? Do I have a mask for the house manager, the nanny who works for us? Do we have masks enough in the house? This is a reality, the new reality. So even as an entrepreneur, you're thinking about, oh, I'm very good in fashion. I could start making, women clothes or men's suits. But right now, you have to actually think about, change your mindset and actually jump out of your comfort zone. Maybe who would have even thought that any one of us could make masks? Yeah, but right now, I'll tell you for sure, I have over 5 women in entrepreneurs who are making masks, and they are making a lot of money. I've bought so many from them, and they are actually local. They're not in China or somewhere in America. They are making them locally. And these are people who actually jumped out of their comfort zone 3 weeks ago, or actually a month and a half ago. And they went, designed, they got even certification from, you have in the standards to protect people from this virus. So there are many things that you can do. The least you can do right now is stick to is sticking to the same old normal that you're used to. So even as an entrepreneur, think entrepreneurship, but get out of your comfort zone, challenge yourself, challenge the choices that you make, and actually upgrade, like Esther squarely put it, upgrade your mindset, because it's actually a very powerful tool for survival. And for me, I always ask put myself in an entrepreneurship shoes, and I always say, do you engineer the environment, or do you train your brain to actually adopt? Because right now we have no control of our environment. Yeah. So it's us guys to train our brains and to make sure that we are ready.
Maggie.
So I don't know if Esther.
Yes, someone is asking a question here. If you don't mind, let me just pose the question to you. And thank
Okay.
you everyone for the great comments that you're making. Clearly, we are learning a lot. One of the questions that was posed is, I have ideas, but I don't know how to start. How do I go about it? Maybe you can just take a minute to answer that, because there are quite a number of others, and
Okay. Excellent.
hopefully we can answer
All
them.
right. I can tell if I can get the name. So the person has ideas, but not know how to start.
This is actually Hash, who is asking on behalf of somebody that
Ah,
wrote to him.
okay. Hi, Hash. That's a very, very, very good question, because I think this is where most of us usually, begin. So you have and even for some of us, you might have not just one idea, but many ideas. And I think for me, the best way to start is I always, and personally, I've been there a couple times where you have a couple ideas, but you don't know where to start. For me, I always first check with where is my passion? Yeah. And first my passion, because my passion is the one that will drive me to come up with very creative, innovative, differentiated, products. Yeah. That is solving a problem. But secondly, I would urge you to check what problem are your ideas solving? Because at the end of the day, why your entrepreneurship will be sustainable, and why your idea will actually be more profound or better than the guy next door, assuming you're probably in a sector that is already has other entrepreneurs in it. You will have to ask yourself, what problem is your ideas that you're coming up with? What First of all, what sector do they fit in? You have to decide the sector, but also in that sector, are you solving a problem such that this pain point, these customers will never run, will you'll never run out of customers? Because at the end of the day, entrepreneurship is not it's about making money also. Yeah. So for me, that's where I start. Am I passionate about it? For example, you'll find people that are, a doctor, no, an engineer who is actually doing interior design. Yeah. Or you might find somebody who studied medicine, but they are very passionate about interior design. So you even wonder, but guess what, they become super. This is something like a drive within them. They are very creative. They are very they have this imagination where they can design very beautiful, unique interior designs that nobody else can. Very unique, not your so-called Kenya uniform, but you'll find that this person, they actually studied medicine, but now they have this passion in interior design, and it's something that they have held on for so long. But then, like I said, he has this engineer, sorry, this doctor who studied medicine, but is moving into interior design work. He has to actually now look and say, okay, what pain point, what problem am I solving? So
Yeah.
there are busy people like Maggie and Esther and Hash who might not have the time. They just, they need this work done. They need the interior design, and they actually need someone who is mobile, who will come to them as opposed to us going to the shop. So for me, that's where I would start.
Okay, great. That's a good idea. I like the fact that you've given us examples of someone who has this stable career, but they have also found out that they actually have a passion in a different area. Which now brings me to a question that was raised. You mentioned in your comment about how this whole Mentors Parlour started after
Yeah.
a conversation I had at Radio Citizen, and we have over 800 messages from young people out there. And I want to read
Excellent.
one from Johnson from Mukuru Kujenga. He
Okay.
says that his maize roasting business has been shut down because of COVID,
Okay.
and he's asking for help to survive. I know we cannot give physical help as an organization, but if your maize business has been shut down in this COVID period, and Johnson is clearly an entrepreneur, what would you advise that he does in terms of changing mindset and looking for another opportunity?
Excellent. First of all, so sorry, Johnson. I don't know if he's tuned in to hear, because this is the story of, and this is the reality on the ground. Yeah. A lot of businesses hard earned, blood and sweat, a lot of businesses, and especially my heart actually bleeds for the micro and small business. And for Johnson, I understand he was in a maize roasting business, which I'm sure was doing very well before the shutdown. So for me, I would ask him. He's in Mukuru, yeah, Mukuru Konjenga.
Yes, that's where
I
he's.
would start. Excellent, excellent. I would start by looking around and seeing, are those consumers still consuming the maize, right? Yeah. If you ask me, the maize roasting business, perhaps I don't know, I can take the contacts. I would want to know, was he doing it on the roadside where a lot of traffic, people are passing as they went to work, you understand, before the COVID-19. But
Yes.
now for him, perhaps the demand for the maize roasting product probably is still there. So
Mm.
for me, I think for him, why the mindset is very important, because for him, he has to change the business module a bit. Perhaps delivering to these people, if he knows them first of all by name. Unfortunately, I doubt. Yeah. I don't know if he would have, a way perhaps to maybe roast this and have one of his guys delivering. I don't know if that could be a scenario.
Yeah.
Secondly, if that business is no longer viable, meaning because of maybe protection, social distancing, people are scared of even food on the road, he
Mm-hmm.
probably could look into a similar venture, but
Mm-hmm.
now perhaps maybe in the maize ecosystem. For example, there are people who still eat mahindi, yeah, the mahindi, the boiled maize, yeah.
Yes.
Perhaps could go to where he was buying the maize and
Mm.
start now supplying the maize itself, where people cook for themselves. Because as you know, maize roasting, some people might say, "Oh, you are holding the maize, you're roasting it." You understand the hygiene part,
Yes.
right? I would urge him to look into that ecosystem and change his business. Instead of him roasting for now until COVID goes away, it probably can now be start supplying people the maize, the whole maize, for
Uh-huh.
people to boil for themselves or roast. I wouldn't say roast, because roasting takes a lot of space, yeah.
The boil.
Some of the people, I'm assuming Mukuru Konjenga is the slum, yeah.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, so some people might not have the jiko or the whatever because of space to
Mm-hmm.
be roasting it for themselves, but I'm sure the maize demand is still there. So perhaps he could look into maybe supplying the maize instead of shutting down completely. Look whether he can reinvent the business and start maybe supplying the maize, because I'm sure he has a good supplier. He can be supplying homes, and the homes can cook the maize for themselves.
Wow.
Not necessarily roasting, but maybe boiling, I would say. It's more hygienically for now.
Okay.
Yeah, or even people can make, I see people make kideri, the one you put beans and maize. Yeah,
Yes.
which the demand is there because most people are still home.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Now there is one here from Laikipia. We had sent this poster out and we received some questions from those who were not able to join us. That's why the recording is very important for at this period.
Excellent.
And
Okay.
this guy is called Bounty. He's from Laikipia. He
Okay.
is, he was a DJ or an MC, but
Okay.
he was forced out of employment by COVID. So, what's
Okay.
your take on DJs and MCs right now during COVID? And perhaps as you speak, that there could be listeners in here who are probably in that same space. What would you think about them in terms of changing their mindset?
Oh, that's a very good question, and I don't know how it slipped my mind. I wanted to mention before I even answer that question. I wanted to mention that there's a lot of money being made. Yeah. In one of the points when I was talking about surround yourself and also change your self-talk. Do you know right now some of us wake up, and I know I'll unapologetically speak for a lot of us. Some of us, we have this routine of this. They call it dopamine. Yeah, we get a rush or a kick when you check, when we log into Facebook and social media. But guess what? Some of these guys you're watching, you're busy chatting and not chatting really, but watching on YouTube and on Instagram, they are making money. They are getting paid for what they are doing. So back to the question, and that's why it's very important to have to change your mindset, because money is being made. Remember, everyone now is online. right? The only business that is not shut down right now is online. And that's why if you ask Safaricom, the money they are making, a lot of it is on data. Yeah, and of course on the other content and Netflix. Now, back to the DJ question. DJs and, like MCs, because weddings have been canceled, social gatherings and whatnot, my God, my heart bleeds for them. And this was a booming business before COVID, and you'll agree, many of you will agree. But for me, I think how I would advise this DJ in Laikipia is to look into other ways of making money. One of it, and I know in my office, we were training people how to, we got a trainer from Facebook, we got a trainer from Facebook itself, LinkedIn, and these are even WhatsApp. There's a way you can have a business account on WhatsApp. There's a way, I don't want to get into so many details, but I can always arrange for such a training.
Great. Thank you. That is wonderful. Somehow, Maggie, could you move your beautiful space in the middle? We want to see you.
Oh, really? Okay. So now I was saying how most people are making money. And I'll give you a very simple example. I know someone like, okay, let me not give examples because it might be maybe depending on how big of the DJ he was. There are people making money on YouTube, is what I'm trying to say. On Facebook, for example, let me go to the very simplest one. Even on IG, have you guys wondered when you go to Instagram why so many people are doing live IG videos? Have you guys wondered? I saw the other day one of the musicians I follow. He's an R&B musician. He has this piano in his house, and he's playing music there, and he's in Mexico, and this guy is in the States. Really, guys, this and the mindset I would want the Laikipia DJ to adopt is actually moving so fast and adopting so fast and innovating. It calls, and by the way, entrepreneurship calls for innovation, because if you're gonna be, if the next guy next door is doing house delivery and you go and start doing house delivery, really, you have to do it differently. Yeah, maybe for you come with a sanitizer, and maybe you also, package it in a way that you also go and, it's a one-stop shop. So it calls for innovation. So back to the DJ, I urge him to start perhaps marketing himself online. Of course, I'm not going to say that the DJ work will be there for maybe another, we don't know how long they'll open it, the bars and the club. And even when the clubs open, and by there I'm not CS Kagwe or anyone in those ministries, but I'll tell you for free, even if anybody can analyze and tell you for sure. The normal we knew will never be the same. So for the DJ, I would ask him to venture into other social media platforms where he might not be DJing or MCing, but he can have a following where he's getting paid for it. And that channel, by the way, there's a big, also he'll still introduce himself as a DJ, so that when we go back to the normal, people will still remember him and still hire him for his services. But he can move into other spaces. Yeah, he can move into other spaces, because for a DJ, his niche is talking. Yeah, and right now people are looking for hope. He can also perhaps partner with some of the foundations that are doing a lot of charity work. He can look into, I know there is usually a lot of companies right now who are advertising on TV, because most people are watching TV at home. He can look into going into that space and maybe marketing his services. And who knows, he can get a job where he's getting paid on a contract basis. So it calls for innovation, long and short. Esther. Yeah, a lot of innovation. Let him jump out of his, space, comfort zone. And stay positive, because at the end of the day, you can start way yourself. And that's a mistake a lot of us are doing. And especially my heart goes, I know some of us are working in the offices, we've not shut down.
Yeah.
But my heart goes out, because human beings, when you start in the house for 2 weeks, come
Uh-huh.
on now, even if the most enthusiastic human being like myself, passionate, your mind start going the wrong places. Yeah. And also watch what you're feeding your mind with.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because when you look at other DJs who are probably talking, this is the end of the world, we'll never DJ again, my whole system that I had invested a couple millions in buying. You know, DJs have very serious machines. You know, make sure you're also hanging around the right people, yeah, and following the right things, and just be innovative. And I'm sure you can venture even into another space.
Wow. Thank you very much, Maggie. I will now allow, if you have a question, kindly put your hand up, and there's a button on your screen where you can raise your hand. I will see it, and I will give you an opportunity to ask Maggie, so that this last session can be quite interactive. If we can have 2 live questions for Maggie, that would be great. Anybody who wants to say something? Or do I volunteer people?
Esther, I'm not sure if Joshua is around. Joshua, are you on the? There's I was talking about Twitter. I don't know if he's on the call.
Yeah,
on the Zoom call.
He is. Yes,
Okay.
Joshua.
Joshua is there. Joshua Njuguna is there.
Oh, cool. Joshua, are you there?
Joshua.
Yeah.
Oh, hi, Joshua. How are you?
Fine.
Yeah, maybe Esther, I don't know if you can allow Joshua to, he's one of the people I mentor and he runs a company to Telegram. As you can see, he's quite young, yeah. Maybe Joshua will give you only 2 seconds. Maybe you can also motivate some of the people who are trying to go into the entrepreneurship space. We know it's not very easy. Yeah. He even runs a foundation. I mean, this, I'm telling you, the youth of this country are doing unbelievable things.
Joshua, please go ahead.
Joshua, please go ahead. So I'm Joshua, as you've been told. I run a company called Twittergram. It's an e-learning platform that assists students to gain market-ready skills in business, digital marketing, engineering, and technology. I also run an NGO, Twittergram Foundation, that does some philanthropy. So I met Margaret at an innovation competition where she was judging, and I was one of the contestants. So my advice to the youth is that when you go into entrepreneurship, it's a hard journey, but to be resilient. First of all, define the target market, have a compelling problem that you want to solve, and come up with a clear solution, and have a clear market entry strategy, and look for the right co-founders and the right mentorship, and the rest yeah.
Joshua, I think it would help. Awesome. It would help to tell them that have you graduated? What school are you in?
Pardon?
It would help to tell
Yes?
them which college you're in, or whether you've graduated or yet to graduate.
So when I was in second year, I've started several businesses before Twittergram, which have failed. I've started a real estate company, fashion, but now I've settled with Twittergram. But I started in second year.
Awesome. Well done.
That's great. Thank you very much, Joshua, for that encouragement. I'm sure there's someone here who has a question or their own experience that they'd like to share. Anybody who's brave enough, like Joshua, to tell us what they're working on? And if I don't see a hand up, I know who I shall pick. You know yourself that I'm about to call you. So please just start speaking. AJ, are you in the house?
Jesus Christ.
Thank you, AJ. If you could tell us, because the reason I've picked you is because I know you have taken advantage of COVID-19.
Yeah.
And you are one of those young Kenyans who saw an opportunity and ran for it. If you could kindly tell us a little bit about it, and perhaps if you turn on your video and show us what it is that you're making for everyone to see. Just 2 minutes.
Jesus. Okay.
Thank you.
Just one moment. It will take some time to enable my camera.
That's okay, but you can be speaking and telling us about yourself.
Right. So my name is AJ, and mask brand during this COVID. And the intention for that was less of making money and more of making connections with wealthy people. So the price point for our masks are actually 1,000 shillings, which may sound like a lot for a cloth mask, but just one moment. Yeah,
Wow.
people have been buying it, and we have somehow managed to sell about 50,000 worth of masks. And then another thing that I do, I'm also a software engineer, and I'm currently working on a beauty product which allows women to access beauty services from the comfort of their home. So when people are not leaving and people still want to look good, so that should probably help. And then another way I'm also taking advantage of COVID is creating, which is going to allow services to happen online, and contributions can be made online, and the churches can track their congregations and set initiatives and all that stuff. There's a bunch of other things, but they're not relevant at the moment. So yeah, that's it for now.
You're aware, Alan?
Yes, it is.
Whoa, wow. Whoa, that's amazing.
Now, if you
Thank
follow Alan on Instagram, the way they have packaged their face mask is so beautiful. It's in a little beautiful package that has this thing, I don't know what they call it,
It's a
and
bear. It's a panda.
panda, and it's so expensive, but the market is there, and they just can't meet the demand for these expensive masks. So there are people who really want to look good, not wearing things that we are buying. And Alan
Wow.
saw that market,
Yeah.
went into it, and he's making money.
My God, Alan.
Yes.
Congratulations. First of all, Joshua is on the call. I think the two of you should obviously hook up or do a private call. I'll share the contacts here. If you are, you can chat
Sounds good.
Joshua. He's on the call. You guys should already be collaborating and doing more. If you can do 50,000 masks within 2 months.
Oh wow. Can I disable my camera?
Okay, yeah, it's okay.
Yes, you can. And then please give us your Instagram handle so that because people are asking how they can see more of what you have. Maggie, we are past our time by 10 minutes. Would you like perhaps to make some closing remarks as I look out for more comments from the people? And if you want us to reach you or send you this conversation, we will be happy to. Please, in the chat space, just give us your email, your phone number, and we'll be very happy to share this with you. Maggie, over to you.
All right, no problem. I'm so impressed by it's amazing. There's a lot of people doing great things, and I think like Joshua and Alan, and I know many of you will agree. Have a compelling problem solving as you go into entrepreneurship. Just make sure that you have a very compelling, problem solving you're creating. And entrepreneurship is it's not a destination, so you keep learning, but you at the beginning you really want to be very resilient, and just know that it's possible. It is possible. If AJ can do it, if Joshua can do it, and you learn from mistakes at the beginning. Don't look for perfection to start. Don't be a perfectionist. Yeah, don't try to be a perfectionist to start. And also hang around the right people. Follow people like AJ and Joshua and many others, that are doing it. Reach out for help. Mentorship actually accelerates your journey to networks and to very many possibilities. So don't shy off. Don't assume that you know it all. And there's always enough for everyone. Collaborate with like-minded people. And I want to encourage you guys. Let me tell you, I was talking to the LinkedIn guy from LA who was training our SMEs, and he kept repeating this thing. It's time for Africa to arise. Yeah, it's time for us. Forget about the stimulus package that they will give. We're not waiting for that. Yeah, we're not waiting for that. We have the solutions in our hands. So let's get started. And by the way, guys, COVID is not here forever. For me, I'm very optimistic that it will go away. But let us take advantage of this time. Let's not just be chilling at home. Let's take advantage of COVID. Do something that you can look back and say to generations that yes, COVID came, but we conquered it. Yeah, let's purpose to conquer COVID. Let us not be crushed by it. And yeah, let's come up with innovations that can change the world, and Kenya especially.
Thank you
All right, Esther.
very much. Maggie, this was beautiful. You have inspired us, and I think even some of us who have really not gotten into entrepreneurship, we shall give it a try, because if these young children of ours, let me call them that, are made, why not? I am impressed. Thank you so much, Joshua and Alan, for sharing your examples. Our next session of this hangout under the Mentors Parlour on Wednesday, same time. And we look forward to having all of you join us at that time. Please invite your friends. We shall have a fantastic topic, which we shall announce tomorrow. So please follow us on our social media pages, like our pages, Sambaza, and let's meet here. Let's keep time 7:30 Wednesday, and let's learn together. It's the best we can do. Thank God, allow me to use the word thank God, we are all under curfew. So by 7:30 we are home, hopefully relaxed enough, and let's learn and grow and take advantage of COVID. I thank you all for this opportunity. Now you can finally see me as I say goodbye, and thank you for your time. And should you want to reach us, please write to us. Our email, I am typing it in the chat, is info@ementoringafrica.or.ke. Maggie, if you don't mind, if you could kindly, if you have no problem these people getting in touch with you, you could kindly share your contacts in the chat.
Okay.
They will reach out.
That's fine. All right, that's no problem.
Good. Otherwise, I will allow people to hang out, ask questions if you have, but officially, I would say the session is closed to allow you to go and deal with other matters. If you have a personal question.
Can I mention, Esther? Esther, can I mention something?
Yes, Maggie.
We are very passionate about entrepreneurship because, not all of us can be entrepreneurs. So Joshua will tell you what we were doing before COVID at State Bank of Mauritius. What we have SME hubs, and every Thursday we have conversations with SMEs just for 2 hours. One of the things we allow SMEs to do is use our SME hubs. Of course, after COVID, someone like Alan and Joshua, we have to support you guys, and that's because we are also your consumers, right? Remember. So when I buy from you, AJ, I'm so proud to be able to be wearing your mask, a Kenyan-owned made mask. So let's support each other. Let's keep supporting our SMEs, and let's never give up. Yeah.